Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 4, items for action. 4A, operational services, Upper Ballantyne Fire Station, architectural services. Mr. Brown, would you take that one up, or you have someone on
If you will
staff?
recognize ACA Thomas.
All right, ACA Thomas, you are recognized, ma'am. Item 4A.
Good evening, Chair. Thank you for recognizing me. Mr. Brown, I don't believe that this is my item. No, sir.
Oh. Well, my read of it, I believe it's a request.
It is. I can take it,
for
Mr. Chair.
Architectural services.
It is.
Okay.
So I saw money. So, if we think money, we think ACA Thomas. But, Mr. Chair, so in this particular item, looking on page 29, you can see that staff does request council through this committee approve a contract with Becker Morgan Group in the amount of $138,600 to include a $21,400 contingency with a total amount of $160,000 to provide architectural services for the design and to construction and oversight of the proposed Upper Ballantyne Fire Station. If you recall, this is one of those projects that have been on the capital improvement plan for a while now, so we're coming to you now that they're prepared to move forward with this. The text map is located there, but we certainly request approval of this capital improvement item.
In a motion?
So move for approval.
All right, second.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry. Moved properly, second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 4B, Department of Public Works, Solid Waste and Recycling Division, Roll-Off Container Hauling Services Agreement. Director Maloney, you recognize. I saw Public Works, I thought Director Maloney. Go show the rest of the way, Director Maloney. You recognize.
Thank you, Chairman. The Solid Waste and Recycling Division recommends award to Capital Waste Services for the roll-off container hauling agreement for on-demand hauling of various roll-off containers throughout the county. You don't see a award amount because this is a price that will be regulated by the poll. So that is our recommendation. More details are that we did receive other bids. They did not have, they were not responsive bids in the details. If you have more questions on that, I do have our manager of solid waste and recycling, Cindy Castelluccio, here as well. But in the page, second page of the briefing document, it goes through the various rates per location, Lower Richland Drop-Off Center, recycling landfill, and the recycling station and drop-off center at the landfill, the Clumpson Road recycling site, and special events or needs, a bid rate that's to pull one of our roll-off containers. That amount will be managed, and there's budgets based, the budget that we have in this covers it for 1 year based on our use in the past year. And so that is in our additional comments for the budget. So with a total annual cost of approximately $400,000. Whenever a container at those centers fills up, it has to go somewhere. Excuse me, sometimes that could be, in the case of Clumpson Road Recycling Center, taking it to Sunoco for recycling, or it could be coming from the Lower Richland Drop-Off Center all the way up to our landfill for Class 2 C&D disposal.
Motion.
Motion to approve. Second.
Properly second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Next item on the agenda is item 4C, again, Department of Public Works, Solid Waste and Recycling Division, Mobile Waste Shredder Purchase. You recognize Director Maloney.
Well, this is one of the most exciting moments to describe a mobile shredder to the Richland County Council members.
Have at it.
This is where if you said, Maloney, you sound kind of dense, I'd say that's a good thing because this is about density and getting our C&D landfill more dense. And so when we don't have density, we use our free airspace, which is actually what we're permitted to a certain point to have. And so by going to a mobile shredder, and there's several bits of information in this briefing document about mobile shredders and about density. And so this is a very packed with information, and I'm sure we don't have time to go through it all, but
Director Maloney, can I just stop you
Yes,
for a
yes,
second?
sir.
I just made a personal observation. I've never seen you this buoyant and giddy. And I've been on this council 4 years, had a lot of conversations with you. You've appeared before us quite a bit, but man, I'm just taken aback in a positive sense.
I have videos on my camera of this thing in operation. So we are very concerned, and when you
Continue
get
on. I just wanted to
when you get
share
into
with
the
you my
additional
observation.
comments, that gets to the what's the root cause? And the root cause is we were taking mattresses for recycling to a certain location, and that location is no longer permitted to take mattresses. They were piling up at that location. So this mobile shredder I watched take mattresses in and little fibers coming out on a conveyor belt, and then the metal springs and everything coming out as little pieces on the side that were going in and get recycled as metal recycle, and then the nice, beautiful, compactable material coming out off that conveyor belt. And it was just amazing because these mattresses we have to put in the C&D landfill, and they do not compact. Not only that, they take more fill dirt, like a foot of fill dirt, where normally we only need a few inches on there to cover these things. So we're gonna run out of airspace if we don't go into this operation.
I move for approval.
Second.
Very demonstrative, I would say. So discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Weaver, then Mr. Racio, and then Ms. Newton.
So I just had one question reading about these. Do you prefer the electric or diesel models? Does it matter?
The electric has to be plugged in somewhere. This is mobile and can be moved around, so it is a eco-diesel.
Prefer the, because I was thinking it would be a lot less fumes if we went electric, a little more eco-friendly. But I do see your point on moving it around. Okay. So your choice would be the diesel.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
And that I watched a demo of it on our landfill. They brought it out, and
Okay.
I've got videos. But
Okay.
It
I
doesn't
trust
have
your
smog
judgment.
coming out or anything.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Racio, and then Ms. Newton.
Thank you. But first of all, I'd just like to say that it is very clear that we have the right person for this job, and that it sounds like we have a great opportunity perhaps to share some of these videos with the public so that they understand what their local government does and the issues that we have to deal with. I will volunteer to come out and be part of the demonstration when we start using this.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. And Ms. Horacio wisely said we could share the video with constituents. I want you to share the video with me, but also I do want to seriously, I understand why you're excited, and I share that excitement. Out in the rural areas, we have people who, for whatever reason, so this is a public service announcement. If you are a Richland County customer, we will come out and take your mattress. You don't have to go out in the dead of night like, Shady McShadykins and throw it somewhere. We will come and get it for you with an appointment. But it is a huge issue, and the fact that we don't take those mattresses anymore has really led people to a belief that it's causing people to go out and do a lot more illegal dumping. So really, we appreciate your enthusiasm. And also, I think that our constituents are going to be equally enthusiastic because this has just been a really huge problem, especially out in the rural areas. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could probably go out and find some mattress somebody threw around right now. So thank you for looking for a solution to this. It is much appreciated.
I thank our manager of solid waste and collections, Ms. Cindy Casalucio.
Thank you. I was gonna say if I could be recognized as well. I just would like to thank, because I will say, I like to see Director Maloney as excited as I am, because as I told him to come out and see the demo, we do have a problem, and I think that's what's most important is as exciting as this is, we are losing airspace quickly, and it is something just within a year We went from 3.7 years last year from what's left of our landfill lifetime to 1.9. And we've only been taking those mattresses for a short period of time. So we took over 7,500 units last year and recycled those, but now they're going to be landfilled. And when we're having to compact them and they're not compactable, we've got to find a solution. So this is a start. We will likely be coming to you with more to try to solve the biggest issue, but this will be a significant help in helping to reduce the volume coming in and the compactability of that material. So, and we do have video, and please come out and see it.
ACO?
I do have one more serious question. Just as I'm thinking about shredding some of these materials, and maybe our employees that might be shredding them, I'm assuming there's some safety, not just like physical safety, but things that we might be breathing because things are getting chopped up. You know, what safety considerations might we have with this item?
One of the options that we would include is the air quality system that's positive on filtration for it. You know, when you're working out in the landfill, that is something where, you know, if you have materials that had silica or other materials in it that became finer fiberglasses, we do take precautions with PPE.
Thank you so much.
Take the vote.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Walker.
For Director Maloney, yes.
Motion approved.
Item on the agenda is 4B, Works Engineering Division, Hobart Road Realignment Project.
Thank you, sir. Sorry for the delay. Say again. Just. Yeah, it's really slow in here. Yes, sir. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, I'm gonna pinch in just a little bit to Director Maloney as he gets to the item. I want to take a look right at the bottom under additional fiscal budgetary matters to consider. Note that this is a jointly funded project between Richland County Public Works and the County Transportation Committee, CTC. So the South Carolina Department of Transportation, SCDOT, will provide funds for signal equipment. The available funding breakdown is there. Staff is recommending the award of Hobart Road Realignment Project to Cherokee Inc. The bid price is listed there at $735,637.29. Staff does recommend a 15% contingency with this project, bringing the total amount up to $845,982.88. And I believe that this realignment project was the result of a road that people were using, or an area that people were using that was actually not designed to be used, which was causing traffic concerns, individuals potentially being harmed. And so this realignment would fix that and provide an actual transportation pathway for individuals to traverse this area safely. And so staff does recommend approval. And I feel like Director Maloney is now ready with the pinch hit. But Mr. Chair, that is staff's request at this time.
It wouldn't.
Director Maloney, before you
Thank you, sir. It really is summed up on Exhibit 2 or Attachment 2 of your packets, which shows a map. And that shows how Hobart Road connects to Farrow Road as a T intersection. And then it shows where Hobart Road bends at a 90 degrees and then another 90 degrees. And the areas circled in blue was the prior abandoned and closed crossing that's currently closed at this time due to safety issues. The yellow line shown is the continuation as it should be of Hobart Road, and you can even see in the subdivision on the right that is Hobart Road there as well, and connecting it to another prominent road. So it becomes important and a prominent connection for the neighborhood, but also for other neighborhoods beyond that. And the DOT is also working on a signalization project of Hobart Road with Farrow Road that should be completed next year as far as the design and going out to bidding. But we didn't want to hold up this project, which has some coordination requirements with South Carolina DOT, who is also funding the signalized gated crossing that will be at this new alignment of roadway. So that is not included in this price because it's part of what SCDOT is providing.
As Councilman Pugh.
Thank you, Chairman Walker. I just want to say, as excited as Mr. Maloney was about that shredder, I am equally excited about Hobart Road being on its way to being completed. When we took office 4 years ago, this was a real issue. This is a main artery throughway for our residents in the Northeast. And I'm just excited because I get at least 20 to 25 emails or phone calls in reference to this particular area. And so, you know, unfortunately, people had to lose their lives and other catastrophic things that happen in this area, but I'm extremely excited to be able to report to the constituents that we're moving forward, and I'm looking forward to the completion of this. It's not only going to help with residents with their regular transit during the day, but EMS, fire, just the overall safety of our constituents in the Northeast will be better once this road is open. So I want to thank you, Mr. Maloney, because I do truly want to say, as much as I've been called, I've called you, and you've answered the phone every time and given me an update. So I want to commend you and your staff for continuing to go forward with this, and I cannot wait until Hobart Road is open. Thank you.
Heard some amen from Ms. Barron. So, Barron, if you want to jump, opportunity.
And so, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an area where Councilman Pugh and I, our districts are somewhat aligned. And it does provide, you know, it really pulls back some of that traffic off of Farrow Road. So many times we've had phone calls, the two of us have phone calls and saying, hey, do you see this accident on Farrow Road? And most times it's right there in that area. And so having this road now opened up to pull some of that traffic off of Farrow Road, and just the neighboring communities that, you know, they've depended on this road for many years, but because of how things were previously, it just didn't work out. But now noting that our staff has gone the extra mile once again to make sure that the residents in the Northeast area, this has been addressed. And I think also we just can't say enough about even the local businesses that are in that community. That's going to play a big part. A couple of weeks ago, we did, you know, there was a grand opening for, you know, a facility out there in that area. This is a major need, and so hats off to you, Mr. Maloney. I hope your blood pressure goes down real fast because you it's pumping today, and I love to see the excitement. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barron. Director Maloney, assuming that this gets voted out of committee tonight, and it gets to before full council, say by the end of October, how soon do you anticipate the start of this project?
November.
November?
November.
Okay. Early November, 1st of November?
We'll have to go through contracting, but, so I don't have a specific date yet.
Questions? Have a motion on this?
I move.
Second.
Second.
Properly second. Any additional discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk?
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Weaver,
I'm going to recuse myself as I own property that backs up to this property.
thank you. Walker,
Yes.
motion approved.
Item on the agenda is item 5A, capital projects update for Columbia Place Mall. I believe this is just for information and discussion only. So ACA Thomas, you are recognized.
Thank you, and I apologize for earlier. Today, we wanted to give an update on probably the three largest capital projects that we currently have in the works here in Richland County, although we have many. Those are the three projects at Columbia Place Mall. If you recall, back in 2020, the projects at Columbia Place Mall took life when council asked us to start to work on the construction and development of the 911 center. Following that, last November, council approved a general obligation bond that would actually allow us to complete another facility there, which is directly above the 911 center for the Voters Registration and Elections Commission, and also for the Department of Juvenile Justice. Along with that general obligation bond was approval for for a project worth $47 million to do the Family Services Center in what was the former Dillard's at Columbia Place Mall. We're happy to say that currently all of those projects are underway. Demolition at the Family Services Center actually starts this week, the full demolition. And we will be off to the races with permitting working through the end of this year. And I'm working backwards from the project that will take the longest, in case you're wondering. We anticipate construction of the Family Services Center to take just under 2 years once permits are complete. So we will be occupying that facility sometime late 2026. It will be roughly 174,000 square feet. We'll house Department of Public Health, Department of Social Services, which was the party that we actually were most diligently seeking to house, and as well as the Department of Health and Human Services. We'll also provide space for the United Way's well partners, vision and dental clinics as well. So we expect, as I said, permits to be complete by the end of December, and we will be under construction, if not just at the end of December, by January timeframe. So we're very excited about that project. Following just behind that is the Department of Juvenile Justice and the Voters Registration Facility. That project is well underway because it was much less complex than the 911 center and the substantial demolition was done there. We will be just beyond the time that the 911 center will be complete, and we should be able to take occupancy of that facility, moving voters registration and elections completely, as well as the Department of Juvenile Justice from O'Neill Court by the end of 2025. Lastly, but certainly not least, is the 911 center. It is well underway, and if you'll go to page 84 or 82 in your packet, you will see the monthly report that we received from the contractor there. As you scroll through that, you will see that the original price for the building was $30,223,000. There's an additional component of just over right at $16 million for equipment to go into that facility as well. Thus, the total capital project investment there is just under $48 million. And you can see also going to page 85, we anticipate final paint to be placed in that facility on April the 10th of next year, with beneficial occupancy in May of 2025. However, there will be a ramp-up program that will have to happen partially while the beneficial occupancy is housed, but also just following that of all the equipment to bring the 911 center online. The goal for this is the end of the fiscal year, which would be June 30th. However, it may bleed over just dependent upon the arrival of some of the technical equipment in that facility. Roughly estimated in the total between these three projects, there will be about $107 million investment in these projects in this area. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Questions from the body? McBride, you're giving me a look.
No, I don't have any questions.
All right, Madam Chair?
Thank you. As Lori, this is a good update. It's a lot of material. But can you talk to us a little bit about next steps as it relates to each of these and kind of how we know time frame, but what do we look like for completion with staffing and moving everything in, and how does all that play out? What we need to be.
I'll start first with the simplest, which is voters registration and election and Department of Juvenile Justice. These are both state agencies, which one is currently housed here in 2020 Hampton. One is housed currently on O'Neill Court. They will actually move into their facility. It's pretty much office facilities, and other than the security that we will be placing there, they will handle the movement of that staff. That's the current staff that they have. As far as the 911 center, that will be a decision that the council will have to take a policy position on and make some decisions so that staff has a direction as we do start to work to budget toward that. Currently, staff is pulling together all of the information that we feel is pertinent to be able to develop what this looks like in the means of personnel, in the means of operating costs. You're taking on a large facility with a lot of highly technical equipment, so there will be a lot of maintenance. There will be a lot of electric, utilities, operational costs that we have not had that. So we're getting all of that information together, but the actual decision on how the facility will be managed and what that will actually, where that lies within the organization will be a policy decision made by the council.
No, I guess, and this is, I'm not on this committee, so I'm just asking questions, Mr. Chair. I guess, I would, knowing that we have a time frame and we know things are moving and quickly, I do want to make sure that we are addressing any staffing needs ahead of time and that council has a plan for that. And so whether that's being discussed here in this committee, whether that's scheduling another work session, I think we started this ball and it's rolling and we're close to the finish line, but I want to make sure we are checking all the boxes before we get to the finish line and have everything in place.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Recognize Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Thomas, so as far as our budget goes, none of this is any budget surprises in here. This has all been accounted for this year, and I know some of the end costs may not be accounted for next year yet, but are there any budget surprises in this tonight?
The construction cost for all of these projects were funded through 2 general obligation bonds, so there is no consideration there. The larger question becomes budget for future years. Again, staff is preparing all of that information and is collecting all of that information and is happy to share that. If a work session is something that council would like to take a look at or to consider, we'd be happy to entertain that and make sure that that could be done.
Okay, thank you.
Additional questions from the body?
Okay.
Ms. McBride.
Mr. Chair, I was trying not to say anything. I'm excited. I am excited. And this is another one of my dreams that I won't get to be on council to see it done, but I'll be looking outside, from the outside looking in. So I just want to thank you for the work that has been done on it. And I look forward to us moving in 25. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, thank you. I hope we can invite Ms. McBride to any openings, ribbon cutting celebrations that might be happening.
Successor is out there in the gallery. I have a question, ACA Thomas. You rattled off a number of, I guess these are state agencies that we are responsible for housing, if you will. One name you did not mention, I don't know, maybe you forgot about this agency, but probation, parole, and pardons. What is the plan for them? I thought there was going to be space designated for that agency as well at Columbia Place Mall. Has anything changed or?
No, sir, and I apologize for that. They will be actually in a very small space that is in part of the 911 center, so they should be able to move in at the same time frame that the 911 center does.
That's what I was thinking.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, ACA Thomas. Any additional questions? You recognize, Madam Chair?
Want to say, if we could, Administrator Brown, I'm not sure when we will have numbers, but as soon as we have numbers, if we could session together so that we can review the numbers related to these projects and make sure we are doing that in a time frame that meets the schedule.
Yes, ma'am. I would think, while we're here, and certainly ACA Thomas can correct me, but I believe, in preparation for a next, kind of A&F meeting, we could maybe have a work session, where we could provide that information, consistent with what you all are discussing here.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Next item on the agenda is item 6A. This item does not require any action. It's pending analysis, but it's a motion which was authored by Chairwoman Mackey, Ms. Barron, as well as Councilwoman Terracio, whereby they moved that 15% of each year's prior collections of accommodation tax be allocated for affordable housing in alignment with Section 6-1-530, subsection 7 of the South Carolina Code of Laws, Workforce Housing and Home Ownership Promotion Requirement in Act 57 of 2023's Mortgage Assistance Requirement. This allocation is to directly focus on down payment assistance for home ownership for Richland County employees, public safety, EMS, and Richland 1 and 2 teachers. All right. So, Mr. Brown, I'm not sure if you have anything to offer on this?
Not at this
subject
meeting
tonight?
at this
Not
time. No,
Okay.
sir.
Any comments or questions from the body on this item? If not, you recognize Mr.
Thank you,
Weaver.
Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief.
Sure.
So the 15%, do we know what that totals? Like 15%, do we know what the dollar amount is we're talking about?
You recognize,
Approximately.
Thank you. As the maker of the motion, no, I do not at this
Okay.
point. That's something that I would like staff to bring forward to us to talk about.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, very good. And then where have all the accommodations taxes been going? In other words, what are we taking the 15% away from?
Question.
I don't know.
Ms. Thomas, are you in a position to at
Thomas
least
can-
address it
Yes.
to some degree, if only tangentially?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, you recognize.
Thank you. With the 15%, first of all, for the current value, if it's council's pleasure or this committee's pleasure to move this forward, the estimation for that amount is about just over $250,000, with about $90,000 of it coming from the state accommodations tax and about the remaining $160,000 coming from our local accommodations tax, which is also called the tourism development fee. Currently, those amounts are sitting in our fund balance, so it would not require overexpending for the year. But if it were council's pleasure and the committee's pleasure to take to council to do this, we would need to do a budget amendment for this year, which would take 3 readings and a public hearing. If it's desired to move forward from that, those amounts would change annually.
So the 15% would equal around 250,000?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Additional comments or questions from the body? There being none, thank you, Ms. Thomas. Next item on the agenda, 7, adjournment. Need a motion.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Move to properly second. That's non-debatable. Madam Clerk, take the vote, please.
Pugh,
Yes.
McBride. Yes. Weaver,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes,
Motion approved.
we are adjourned until 7.